Bhagavan Shri Yogi Ramsuratkumar ki Jai. Sarvam Yogi Ramsuratkumar Arpanamastu. Today, one more golden opportunity to sing the powerful, the tremendously powerful name Yogi Ramsuratkumar. Right in the presence, the vibrant presence of Bhagwan, Yogi Ramsuratkumar. Quite some time back, quite a few years back, when some Vaishnavites had come to the Sannadhi street house of Bhagwan, Bhagwan was asking whether Vrindavan and Mathura were divya deshas, meaning there are 108 specially divine places for Lord Mahavishnu. So Swami wanted to know from the Vaishnavites whether those places, Vrindavan and Mathura, where Krishna was born and sported, were also included in those special divine places. And the Vaishnavites said no. And then Bhagwan said, just because they were not included in those special places, you cannot say they are not special, because the Lord was born and sported. And then he said, Vaikuntha is not elsewhere, is not high up there, as most of us imagine. Wherever the Lord is, there is Vaikuntha. And wherever the Lord's name is being sung, there the Lord is. And wherever the Lord is, and there the Vaikuntha is. So here we sing the name of Bhagwan, Yogi Ramsuratkumar. So this is our Vaikuntha and Kailash. And Bhagwan is here, right in front of us, in his full glory. So before we submit our prayers, we shall go through one incident where how Bhagwan helped his devotee. Though Bhagwan did not materialize things, he did not appear in different forms oftentimes, he did not do many of those miracles in the way we generally expect from the great souls. There were times he exhibited them, but were few are those rare moments. A district development officer, one K.V. Vishwanathan, was transferred to Tiruvannamalai. He very much wanted a transfer to Madurai from where he was working, but the divine willed otherwise. He had to come to Tiruvannamalai. He did not know anything about Yogi Ramsuratkumar at the time, but the very first day he stepped into Tiruvannamalai. He had gone to pay his worship to Lord Arunachaleshwara, and right at the doorstep of Arunachaleshwara, he ran into our Bhagwan, Yogi Ramsuratkumar. Yogi Ramsuratkumar Bhagavan blessed him very nicely, and after that, seeing the vibrant divinity of Bhagwan, he was drawn to him again and again. So he began to visit Bhagwan regularly. K.V. Vishwanathan has written many articles in the Ashram magazine describing in detail all the benefits he received, the special gracious benefits that he received from Bhagwan very often, especially where his work was concerned. Many difficulties when he had to do his work. Once, he actually, after some time, he very casually asked Bhagwan if he could bring some food for him. And surprisingly, Bhagwan agreed to it with the condition that only his family people should cook the food, and what was more, one of the family members should bring the food for him. Of course, Vishwanathan thought it was a fortune for him, and he happily agreed. So in the morning he would bring chapati and sabji, and in the evening Bhagwan would take only the rice gruel. And after that, after 1 year, in the 1 year he had gone through many miracles because of Bhagwan's grace. After that he was transferred again. When he had fixed marriage for his second daughter, he came and informed Bhagwan. He came for darshan of Bhagwan and informed him and prayed for conduct of the marriage. And Bhagwan was very happy. He said, your daughter's marriage will be performed in a very grand manner. And what is more, he quoted an incident from Ramayana. Bharathwaja was a Maharishi. He was staying in the outskirts of Ayodhya when Rama had already gone to the forest. Bharata came back to Ayodhya and he found out that his mother had conspired to send Rama to the forest. Naturally, he was very, very upset. He cried his heart out. And then immediately, with all the ministers and the army and all those rishis, the gurus, he started towards the forest because he was very determined to bring Rama back to Ayodhya. So on his way, he came to Sri Bharathwaja's ashram. The ashram was a simple kutir, a thatched roof kutir. So when Bharadwaja welcomed them with such a sweet smile and requested Bharata to spend the night over there in his ashram, Bharata looked around. Where was the ashram? There was only a thatched roofed kutir. How could his vast army, ministers, the elderly queens, stay in such a place where there were no facilities at all? And then Bharadwaja assured, you don't worry, everybody would be received and everybody would be given all the facilities according to their rank. Bharadwaja wondered how. Bharata wondered, how could this be possible? Then Bharathwaja, the great Maharishi, by his tapobalam, by the strength of his penance, he created all those comfortable rooms according to the ranks of the people, the government of Bharata. And all the food, varieties of food items were also provided to the wonder of all those people. So Bhagavan quoted this. Though Bharadwaja was very poor, he was only a Maharishi doing penance in the forest, he could still create all those facilities for overnight stay of Bharata and his royal ministry. So Bhagavan said, your daughter's marriage would also be like that. Everybody would be received well. Attended to according to their ranks, and the food would also be provided. Don't worry. He had taken a friend with him, so Bhagavan was addressing the friend all the time. He said to the friend, his daughter's marriage would be perfect. Everybody would be received well and attended to. Dear friend, after the marriage is over, you must come back and report to me how the marriage took place. The friend agreed happily, and they were happy with the blessings, so they returned. They had already fixed a student's hostel because at that time there were constraints and they could not fix a public place for the marriage. So they had already fixed a hostel with several stories. So when the marriage started, the guests were all welcomed, received with special attendance on the down floor, and the Vedic rituals were taking place on the first floor. For the rituals of the marriage, Vishwanathan had to be present with a couple, and he was held up there all the time. Generally, all that would take place only on the ground floor if it's a public place, especially made for weddings. But in this case, he had already fixed a hostel with second floor, third floor. On the ground floor, they received all the guests and then gave them food, everything there. Now, since Vishwanathan had to be there on the first floor attending the Vedic rituals, he very much regretted he could not go down and receive all the guests. He remembered Swami's promise that everybody would be received well, attended to well, according to their ranks. But then here he is, held up, stuck up there on the first floor with the Vedic rituals. He could not even go down to welcome them. He was thinking, why? Swami is blessed. But down there, his friend was attending, and then suddenly his friend saw Vishwanathan there, receiving every guest with a very nice smile, very, very hospitable, providing everything they needed for their breakfast, coffee, everything. They were all well attended to. And everyone seemed very happy. There was a very special atmosphere there, and Vishwanathan was unusually vibrant and radiant. And the way he received guests, treated them hospitably, everything was wonderful. The friend was watching, remembering all that Bhagwan promised. He was also wondering how, when Vishwanathan ji was held up there for Vedic rituals, he could be down here receiving people. But then there was no time to go into questioning. So he just accepted the situation as it was. We were happy that Vishwanathan could do it. But after the marriage was over, when he went up to the first floor, Vishwanathan was personally expressing his regret for not being able to come down at all. And that's when the friend knew and said, no, you were there. You were receiving the guests so beautifully. The very atmosphere was charged, extraordinarily hospitable, and the guests were all happy. They all left with a sense of fulfillment. Then Vishwanathan, it was his turn to wonder. He said, no, I have not moved out at all. I was stuck here. How could this happen? Are you sure it was me? Of course it was you. And then Vishwanathan knew instantly it must have been Swami come down in his form and received, because he was thinking that Bhagwan had promised that the guests would be received well. Just as Bharathwaja received Bharata and the army, every guest of Vishwanathan's wedding would be received well, well attended to. And then he knew instantly it was Swami's doing, Swami's Leela, that he had taken the form of Vishwanath and was receiving all the guests. So you see, the friend, of course, after the marriage was over, the friend went and reported promptly all that happened. Swami smiled in all innocence and said, Is that it? It must be my father. It's all Father's Leela. It's Father's grace. Vishwanathanji also says, as a development officer, he submitted a 3-year welfare scheme for the sake of the people. He took the draft to Bhagwan, and Bhagwan touched every one of them, put his hand over the drafts and said, you would be the number 1 district to see the fulfillment of the scheme. And true to his word, everything went fast and efficiently, and the whole scheme was a great success. And Vishwanathanji district got the first place in the implementation of the scheme. There are several such reports in his writing, how Bhagwan came to his help to achieve the required target in every scheme. Now that Bhagwan is right in front of us in the form of the Murti here, with raised hand and benediction. The hand is called Abhaya Hasta. Hasta means hand, Abhaya means without fear. He keeps saying, his hand says that I am here, don't fear. There is no need to fear, I am here. And that's why it's called Abhaya, Abhaya Hasta. To such Bhagwan, we appeal, we make our prayers to his boundless grace, boundless compassion, boundless leelas. Bhagwan, we seek your immediate intervention, divine intervention, and set right all the things that went wrong in the world.